hold of some chap's parabellum in the hope of taking a wing sociable and lighting upon a side-wheel dive somewhere off the Dalkey down Larry and Bleakookie tramline, where he could throw through and go and blow the city-sidle napper off himself at 2 bits to Bowlywell attitude in the peace and quietness of a one-sure shot bottle. He, after having been trying all he knew with the lady's help of Madam Gristle for upwards of 18 calendars to get out of Sir Patrick Dunn's, through Sir Humphrey Jarvis's, and into the St. Heaven's bed in the Adelaide hospitals, from those incurable Welleslays among those uncarable Wellesdays, through Santiago by his cockle hat, good Lazar deliver us, without after having been able to jerry-wangle at any sides. Liza O'Davis and Roach Munger, who had so much in common, epipsychedically, if the phrase be permitted, hostess et odor in super petro per practice, as an understood thing, slept their sleep of the swimborn in the one sweet, undulant mother of Humler bunks with hosty, just how the shavers in the shore, the yokels in the yotes, or well, the wasters in the wild, and the bustling tweeny dawn of all works, need of anthems, here we pant, had not been many jiffies, furbishing, pocklids, door brasses, scholars' apple cheeks, and link boys' medals, when a shopper minded like no fella he go make bacon big fuss long a white man, the rejuvenated busker, for after a good night's rave and rumble, and the Shinken's top morning with his coexes, he was not the same man, and his broad awake bedroom suite, our boys, as our Byron called them, were often a shuffle from the hog's home they love name the barrel, cross Eblin's chilled hamlet, try roots and restings on their then superficies, curiously correspondent with those linea and puncta where our Tobanic Havenny Metro Manny plumbs below the overflake underrails and stations at this time of writing, to the thrummings of a crude fiddle, which cremoning and crononing, lavy, gravy, witty and wavy, appy, leppy and playable, caressed the ears of the subjects of King St. Finnerty the Festive, who in brick homes of their own, and in their flavoury phraseberry beds, heeding hardly cry of honeyman, sweet lavender, or fine boyne salmon alive, with their priggish mouths all open, for the larger appreciation of this long-awaited messiah of raw oratorios, were only half past as sweet, and after a brisk pause at a pawnbroking establishment for the prophetic purpose of redeeming the songster's truly admirable false teeth, and a prolonged visit to a house of call at Cuja's Place, Fizz, the old sot's hole in the parish of St. Cecily, within the liberty of Kilmore, not 1,001 national leagues that was by Griffith's valuation, from the site of the statue of Primua Glasstone, setting a match to the March of a Maker, last of the Stuarts per tetra, where the tale rambles along, the trio of Wackfall the Diddlers was joined by a further intentions, apply, tomorrow casual, and a decent sort of the had-been variety, who had just been touching the weekly insult feud, and all fig blabbers who saith them noun had stimulants in the shape of G&Gs stood by the damn decent sort, after which stag luncheon and a few ones more just to celebrate yesterday, flushed with their fire-stuff fostered friendship, the rascals came out of the licensed premises. Browns first, the small PSXX executive tap a hand in their sad rear like a lady's postscript. I want money, please send. Wiping their laugh-leaking lights on their sleeves, how the Buckalines shout their Roskin generally, Shen Fins are on, and the rhymer's world was with reason the richer for a would-be ballad, to the balladeer of which the world of humanity singing owes a tribute for having placed on the planet's mellow map his lay of the vilest bogia, but most attractionable avatar the world has ever had to explain for. This, more correctly, Lubin, or Fellow Me Leader, was first poured forth, where Rio Livio riots and Caldahudo humps, under the shadow of the monument of the should-have-been legislator, Eleutheriodendron, spare, woodman, spare, to an overflow meeting of all the nations in Leinster, fully filling the visional area, and as a single-minded super-crowd, easily representative, what with masks, wet with faces, of all sections and cross-sections, wine shop and cocoa house poured out the brim up the broaching of our Liffey-side people, to omit to mention of the mainland minority, and such as had wayfared by a watling, Erne in Icknild and Stain, in chief a halted Cockney car with its quotal of Hardmouth hacks, a northern Tory, a southern Whig, an East Anglian chronicler, and a Landwester Guardian, ranging from slips of young Dublin-O's from Cutpurse Row, having nothing better to do than walk about with their hands in their knee pants, sucking air whackers, we elicit jumbo bricks, side by side with truant officers, 3 woolen balls and poplin in search of a crouster pawn, to busy professional gentlemen, a brace of palesmen with gunrearies, nooning toward dailies, fresh from snipe hitting and mallard missing on Rutland Heath, exchanging cold sneers, mask-going ladies from Hume Street in their chairs, the bearers baited, some wandering hammerlags out of the adjacent clover fields of Moss's Gardens, an oblate father from Skinner's Alley, bricklayers, a Fleming in Tabernet Fumant with spouse and dog, an aged hammersmith who had some chisellers by the hand, a bout of cudgel players, not a few sheep with a braxy, 2 blue-coat scholars, 4 broke gents out of Simpsons on the Rocks, a portly and a pert still tassing turkey coffee and orange shrub in Tick-Eye's door, Peter Pym and Paul Fry, and then Elliot and O. Atkinson, suffering hell's delights from the blains of their Newton's acorn, not forgetting a deuce of Diana's, ready for the hunt, a particularist prebendary pondering on the Roman Easter, the tonsure question, and Greek uniates, plunkum, a lace-lapped head, or 2 or 3 or 4 from a window, and so on down to a few good old souls, who, as they were juiced after taking their pledge over at the uncle's place, were evidently under the spell of liquor. From the wake of Tarry the tailor, a fair girl, a jolly poster boy, thinking of 3 flagons and 1, a plumard roll, a half-sir from the weaver's almshouse, who clings and clings and chat-chat-chat clings to her, a whole damn's cloud-hued petticoat, as child, as curiolator, as Keek O'Leary. The war arrow went round, so it did. A nation once agaze, and the ballad, in the Fellebrine Francophid meter, affectioned by Tayo Sabo in his Casudas de Purichinello Arto, stumped stampeded onto a slip of blanco vide, and headed by an excessively rough and red woodcut, privately printed at the rhyme press of Belleville, soon fluttered its secret on white highway and brown byway, to the rose of the winds and the blue of the gales, from archway to lattice and from black hand to pink ear, village crying to village, through the 5 pussy-fours green of the United States of Scotia Picta, and he who denies it, may his hairs be rubbed in dirt. To the added strains, so peaceful, of his Majesty the Flute, that one-crooned king of instruments, pigus purist, giallo assoluto, which Mr. Delaney, Mr. DeLacy, Horn, anticipating a perfect downpour of plaudits among the rhapsods, piped out of his decent sort hat, looking still more like his Percival namesake, as men of Gaul noted, but before to spot about, the snowy crested curl amongst the leader's wild and molting hair, Dr. Hitchcock hoisted his fezzy fuzz at bludgeon's height, signum to his companions of the chalice for the loud fellow boys, and silentium in curia, our maypole once more where he rose of old, and the canto was chanted there, chorused and christened where by the old toll gate, St. Anona's street and church. And around the lawn the ran it ran, and this is the ran that Hosty made, spoken, boils and tiles, skerrits and pritchards, versified and piercified, made the free sweet tale of live in stony. Here line the refrains of. Some vote him bike, some vote him bike, some dub him Fin and Fin, while others hail him lug, bug, danlock, lex, lax, gun, or gwyn. Some apt him art, some back him bark, call, null, sol, will, wheel, wall, but I pars him, Perce O'Reilly, else he's called no name at all. Together, and leave it to Hosty, Frosty, Hosty, leave it to Hosty, for he's the man to rhyme the ran, the king of all rans. Have you heard? Some have. Have we whered? Some have. Have you heard? Others do. Have we whered? Others don't. It's coming, it's brumming, the flip, the plop, or glass, crash, the clicker, clacker, clasker, cloppet, clacker, batter, crippy, crotty, grada, semi, nueta, pladia, bloody, con, cop. Ardite, ardite. Music cue, the ballad of Percy O'Reilly. Have you heard of one Humpty Dumpty, how he fell with a roll and a rumble, and curled up like Lord Olaf a crumple, by the butt of the magazine wall, ump helmet and all. He was one time our king of the castle, now he's kicked about like a rotten old parsnip, and from Green Street he'll be sent by order of his worship to the penal jail of Mountjoy, to the jail of Mountjoy, jail of Mountjoy. He was such a father of all schemes for to bother us, slow coaches and immaculate contraceptives for the populace, mare's milk for the sick, and dry Sundays a week, open air love and religion's reform, and religious reform, idiots in form. How wise as you couldn't he manage it. I'll obey my kind dairyman darling, like the bumping bull of the Cassidys, or your butter is in your horns, his butter is in his horns, butter his horns. Hurrah there, hosty, frosty, hosty, change that shirt on you, rhyme the ran, the king of all rans, balbuccio. We had chaw-chaw chops, chairs, chewing gum, the chicken pox and china chambers, universally provided by the soft-soaping salesman. Small wonder he'll cheat her when our local lads nicknamed him, when Chimpton first with the floor, with his bucket shop store down bargain bag lore. So snug he was in his hotel premises sumptuous, but soon will bonfire all his trash tricks and trumpery, and his short till Sheriff Clancy be winding up his unlimited company, with the bailiff's bomb at the door, bim bam at the door, then he'll bum no more. Sweet bad luck on the waves washed to our island, the hooker of that hammer-fast Viking, and God's curse on the day when Ed Lanabay saw his black and tan man of war, saw his man of war on the harbour bar. Where from rose pool beg cooking halfpenny balls, Johnny my scamp wicked wife and Anthony, Fingal McCosker, Onisin, Barjas, Boniface, Foxmine, Ganadhor, Norvegicus, Moniker, Obadiah, Ganadhor, Norvegicus, Cod, a Norwegian Canadol Cod, he is the god. Lift it, husty, lift it, you devil, up with the rand, rhyming ran. It was during some freshwater garden pumping, or according to the nursing mill while admiring the monkeys, that our heavyweight heel and Humphrey made bold a maid to woo. Woo, what will she do? The general lost the maiden Lou. He ought to blush for himself, the old hay-headed philosopher, for to go and shove himself that way on top of her. Big Obby's the crux of the catalogue of our antediluvial zoo. Mrs. Billing and Coo, Noah's lark's good as new. He was jolted by Wellington's monuments, our notorious hippopotamons, when some bugger let down the backtrap of the omnibus, and he caught his death of Fusiliers, with his rent in his rears. Give him 6 years. 'Tis our pity for his innocent poor children, but look out for his missus legitimate. When that shrew gets a grip of old Erica, won't there be earwigs on the green? Big earwigs on the green, the largest ever you've seen. Sophocles, Shakespeare, Pseudo-Danto, and Nonny Moses. Then we'll have a free trade gays band and mass meeting for to sod the brave son of Scandinavia, and we'll bury him down in Oxman's town, along with the devil and Danes, with the deaf and dumb Danes, and all their remains. And not all the king's men nor his horses will resurrect his corpus, for there's no true spell in Connaught or hell that's able to raise a cane, that's able to raise a cane. Chest C, stents, corpo di barraggio, you spoof of visibility in a freak fog, of mixed sex cases among goats, hill cat and plain mousy, bigamy Bob and his old shanvacht. The Blackfriars treacle plaster outrage belittled. Therewith was released in that king's rick of humidia a poisoning volume of Cloud Barrage indeed. Yet all they who heard or re-delivered are now with that family of bards, and Virgo Bretus himself and the crowd of Caracolacticors, as much no more as be they not yet now, or had they then not ever been. Can be in some future. We shall presently hear amid those suave pairs of Inkerman, the mime, mumming the Mick and his Nick miming their Maggies, Hilton St. Just, Mr. Frank Smith, Ivan Sandhostel, Mr. J.F. Jones, Coleman of Lucan taking 4 parts, a choir of the Odelio Doyles, double-sixing the chorus in Fen McCall and the Servan Pearies of Loughney. Gallagher Trottler and Hurley Quinn, the zither of the past with his merry men all, zim 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 zim. All the persons in this Erwigla saga, which, thorough readable to int from and is from top to bottom, all false tissues, anti-libelous and non-actionable, and this applies to its whole volume, of poor Osty Fosty, described as quite a musical genius in a small way, and the owner of an exceedingly nice ear, with tenorist voice to match. Not alone, but a very major poet of the poorly meritary order, he began to Ansonian, but worked his passage up as far as to be all hanged together animando-like. No one end is known. If they whistled him before he had curtains up, they are whistling him still after his curtains doom's doom. A fool. His husband, poor old Ahara, O'Carroll, crestfallen by things, and down at heels at the time they squeaked, accepted the Zasnock Ardries shilling at the conclusion of the Crimean War, and having flown his wild geese, alone in crowds to wander on like Shuley Looney, enlisted in Tyrone's horse, the Irish whites, and soldiered a bit with Wolsey under the assumed name of Blanco Fusilovna Buklovich, spurious, after which the Corps and the marble halls of Pumpcourt Columbarium, the home of the old sea kings, looked upon each other and queft their haven evermore, for it transpires that on the other side of the water it came about that on the field of Vasilev's Cornix, inauspiciously with his unit he perished, saying, "This paper leafless to all chap give raw chocolates for mother-in-law." Bouille. Poor old dear Paul Horan, to satisfy his literary as well as his criminal aspirations, at the suggestion thrown out by the Doomster in loquacity lunacy, so says the Dublin Intelligence, was thrown into a Ridley's for inmates in the northern counties. Under the name of O'Rani, he may have been the utility man of the troop, capable of sustaining long paths at short notice. He was. Sordid Sam, a dour decent deblancer, the unwashed, haunted always by his ham, the unwished, at a word from Israfel the summoner, passed away painlessly after life's ups and downs, one Halloween night, ebrus and in the state of nature, propelled from behind into the great beyond, by footblows, cool and clouted upon his oyster and atlas, on behanged and behooved and behicked and behulked of his last fish and blood bed strappers, a Norwegian and his mate of the Shea Wolving class. Though the last straw glimpsed his bearing, this stage Tunkard is said, that Pitfall and gagged him as prompt boxer, to have solemnly said, as had the brief thought but fell into his head, like a bass dropped neck-fast into the bunk crate, cogged, "Me dreams O'Loughlin's has come true. Now let the central selves of my ego urge, as Nicholas de Cusack calls them, of all of whose I, in my hereinafter, of course by recourse diminish me, by the coincidence of their contraries, re-amalgamerge in that identity of undiscernibles, where the Baxters and the Fleshmans, may they cease to be Dillons. And, but at this point, though the iron thrust of his cockspurt start might have prepared us, we are well nigh stink-poppered by the mustard punch in the tail end, this out and in brown candlestock, melt Nolans into peas. Hanbar. Disliken as he was to Drury O'Drama, her wife Langley, the prophet, and the decentest, dozenest short of a Frosker, whoever stuck his spickle through his spoke, disappeared, in which to doing he has taken all the French leaves unavailable out of Callum Quiller's pravity. From the sour face of this earth, that austral plain, he had transmarried himself to, so entirely spoorlessly, the mother of the book with a dust whisk, tabula raising his obliteration done upon her in volucrum, as to tickle the speculative to all but opine, since the lady who might have been Langley may have really been a redivivus of Paganinism, or a volunteer of Housden, that the hobo, who possessed a large amount of the humoresque, had transtuled his funster's latitat to its finsterest interiormost. Vichy.